These are the hidden words spoken by the living Jesus, not the Jesus of statues and stories, but the one who walked, breathed, and taught in mystery. His words were recorded by Judas Thomas, the one called the twin. Jesus began by saying, "Whoever is able to understand the meaning behind these sayings will never taste death." Then he continued, "If you're someone who is searching, don't stop. Keep seeking until you discover the truth. But be warned, when you finally find it, it will shake you. You'll be disturbed. But don't be afraid of that. Because once you've faced the discomfort, you'll be amazed. And in that moment of revelation, you will rise, and you will rule over everything." And then Jesus said something even more challenging. "If the ones who lead you say, 'Look, the kingdom is in the sky,' then the birds will get there before you. And if they say, 'It's in the sea,' then the fish will reach it first. No, the kingdom is not out there, far away. It's not in the clouds or the ocean depths. It's something else, something much closer." And Jesus said, "The kingdom, it's within you, and it's all around you. When you truly come to know yourself, then others will come to know you too. And more than that, you'll realize something incredible, that you are sons and daughters of the living Father. But if you don't know who you are, if you stay blind to your true self, then you live in poverty, not just physical, but spiritual. And that poverty, it is you." Then Jesus spoke again. "An old man wise in years will not hesitate to ask a newborn child about the path of life, and in doing so he will live. Because in the mystery of things, the first will become last, and the last will become as the first. All will be made one." And again he said, "Recognize what is right in front of you. A man is like a wise fisherman who cast his net deep into the sea. When he pulled it up, it was full of many small fish. But among them, he spotted one, a large, beautiful fish. He didn't hesitate. He threw all the little ones back into the sea, and he kept only the big one, the one that truly mattered. Then he added, 'Whoever has ears, let them hear.'" And again Jesus spoke, using the language of the earth. "A sower went out to scatter seeds. He grabbed a handful and tossed them into the wind. Some of the seeds fell on the road, and the birds quickly came and ate them. Others landed on rocky ground. They couldn't grow roots, so nothing came of them. And others fell among thorns. Some of the seeds fell among thorns, but the thorns grew up and choked them. Worms came and devoured what was left. Yet some seeds landed on rich, good soil. They took root, grew strong, and bore fruit, some yielding 60-fold, others 120-fold. Then Jesus said, "I have thrown fire upon the world, and look, I am watching over it, waiting, until it bursts into flame." He also said, "This heaven will pass away, and the heaven above it will also vanish. The dead are not truly alive, but those who are alive will never die. In the days when you fed on what was dead, you turned it into something living. But what will you do when you begin to live fully in the light? Once you were whole one, but then you became two. Now that you are two, what will you do?" The disciples came to Jesus and said, "We know that you will one day leave us. Who will be our guide then?" Jesus answered, "No matter where you are, go to James the righteous, for it is because of him that heaven and earth came into being." Later, Jesus turned to his disciples and said, "Tell me, to whom would you compare me? Who do you think I am like?" Simon Peter replied, "You are like a righteous angel." Matthew said, "You are like a wise philosopher." But Thomas said, "Master, my mouth cannot possibly say who you are like." Jesus looked at him and said, "I am not your master. You have already drunk and become intoxicated from the spring that flows from me. You have become intoxicated from the living spring that I myself have poured out." Then he took Thomas aside, away from the others, and told him 3 secret things, things meant only for him. When Thomas returned, the other disciples pressed him. "What did Jesus say to you?" But Thomas replied, "If I told you even one of the things he shared with me, you would pick up stones and throw them at me, and a fire would rise up from those very stones and consume you." Then Jesus said to them, "If you fast, you create sin for yourselves. If you pray, you bring judgment upon yourselves. And if you give to others out of obligation, you have become intoxicated from the living spring that I myself have poured out." Then Jesus took Thomas aside, away from the others, and whispered to him 3 hidden truths, words meant only for him. When Thomas came back, the other disciples gathered around him, eager and curious. "What did Jesus tell you?" But Thomas said, "If I were to reveal even one of the things he shared with me, you would pick up stones and hurl them at me, and fire would leap out from those stones and burn you alive." Then Jesus turned and said to the group, "If you fast, thinking it makes you holy, you bring sin upon yourselves. If you pray with pride in your heart, you condemn yourselves. And if you give only because you feel you must, you gain no reward. When you go into any land and walk through its villages, if the people welcome you, receive what they offer. Eat the food they place before you, and bring healing to those who are sick among them. For it is not what enters your mouth that defile you, but what comes out of your mouth. That is what can harm your spirit." And Jesus said, "When you see someone who was not born of a woman, fall down on your faces and worship, for that one is your true Father." Then he said, "People may think I've come to bring peace to the world, but they do not understand. I have not come to bring peace, but division. A fire, a sword, and a war. There will be 5 in one household. 3 will rise against 2, and 2 will oppose 3. The father will stand against his son, and the son will rise against his father, and each will remain alone." 17 Jesus said, "I will reveal to you what no eye has ever beheld, what no ear has ever heard, what no hand has ever felt, what the heart of man has never conceived." 18 The disciples asked Jesus, "Tell us how our end shall come." Jesus answered, "Have you understood the beginning, that now you seek the end? For where the beginning is found, there also the end shall be. Blessed is the one who stands at the beginning. Whoever takes his place in the beginning will understand the end, and will not taste death." 19 Jesus said, "Blessed is the one who existed before his birth. If you follow me and heed my words, even these stones will serve you. For there are 5 trees in paradise. They are untouched by time. They do not wither in summer or in winter. Their leaves never fall. Whoever comes to know them shall never see death." Then the disciples asked Jesus, "Tell us, what is the kingdom of heaven like?" He replied, "It is like a mustard seed, the smallest of all seeds. Yet when it falls upon land that has been tilled, it brings forth a mighty plant, and becomes a refuge for the birds of the sky." 21 Mary said to Jesus, "Who are your disciples like?" He replied, "They are like small children, who have taken residence in a field not their own. But when the true owners return, they will say, 'Return to us our field.' And the children will strip off their clothes in their presence, and return the field to them willingly. Therefore I say to you, if the master of the house knows that the thief is on his way, he will remain watchful before his arrival. He will not permit him to break into his house, to seize what is within his domain, and carry off his treasures. So you too must be watchful against the powers of the world. Clothe yourselves in mighty strength, so that thieves do not find a path to you. For the hardship you anticipate will truly come. Let there be among you a man of insight, who, when the grain has ripened, moves swiftly with his sickle, and gathers the harvest without delay. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. 22 Jesus saw infants at the breast, and he said to his disciples, These children who nurse at their mother's breast are like those who shall enter into the kingdom. They said to him, Shall we then enter the kingdom as little children? Jesus said to them, When you make the two into one, when the inside becomes like the outside, and the outside like the inside, when the above becomes like the below, when you make the male and the female into a single being, so that the male is no longer male, and the female no longer female, when you place an eye in place of an eye, a hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, and a form in place of a form, then you shall enter the kingdom. 23 Jesus said, I shall choose you, one from among 1,000, and two from among 10,000, and they shall stand together, as one alone. 24 His disciples said to him, Show us the place where you are, for we must seek it. He said to them, Whoever has ears, let him hear. Within the person of light there is light, and he brings light to the whole world. But if he does not shine, he remains in darkness. 25 Jesus said, Love your brother as your own soul. Guard him as the pupil of your eye. 26 Jesus said, You notice the splinter in your brother's eye, but do not see the beam in your own. When you remove the beam from your eye, then you will see clearly to remove the splinter from your brother's eye. Jesus said, If you do not fast in relation to the world, you will not find the kingdom. And if you do not keep the Sabbath as a true Sabbath, you will not see the Father. He said, I placed myself in the center of the world and revealed myself in the flesh. I found everyone intoxicated, and none of them thirsty. My soul was troubled for the children of humanity, for their hearts are blind and they lack true sight. Empty they entered the world, and empty they seek to leave it. But now they are drunk, and when they have shaken off their wine, they will return and repent. Jesus said, If the flesh came into being because of the Spirit, it is a wonder. But if the Spirit came into being because of the body, it is the wonder of wonders. Truly, I marvel that such great riches have taken residence in such deep poverty. Jesus said, Where there are 3 gods, they are considered gods. But where there are 2 or only one, I am with that one. He also said, No prophet is accepted in his own village, and no physician heals those who know him. And he said, A city built on a high mountain, firmly established, cannot fall and cannot be hidden. Jesus said, Proclaim from your rooftops what you now hear whispered in your ear. For no one lights a lamp and hides it beneath a basket, nor does he conceal it in a secret place. Instead, he sets it high upon a stand, so that all who come in and go out may see its light. He also said, If a blind man leads another blind man, both will fall into a pit. Jesus said, No one can enter the house of a strong man and take his possessions by force unless he first binds the strong man's hands. Only then can he plunder the house. He also said, Do not concern yourselves from morning to evening or from evening to morning about what you will wear. His disciples asked him, When will you reveal yourself to us, and when shall we truly see you? Jesus replied, When you strip off your clothing without shame, and place your garments beneath your feet like little children and trample them, then you will behold the Son of the Living One, and you will no longer be afraid. Jesus said, Many times you have longed to hear the words I now speak to you, and there has been no one else from whom you could hear them. The days will come when you will seek me, and you will not find me. Jesus said, The Pharisees and the scribes have taken the keys of knowledge and hidden them. They themselves have not entered, nor have they allowed those who wished to enter to do so. But you, be as wise as serpents and as innocent as doves. Jesus said, A grapevine was planted outside of the Father, but since it is not rooted in truth, it will be pulled up by the roots and destroyed. He said, Whoever holds something in his hand will be given more, but whoever has nothing will lose even the little he does have. Jesus said, Become passers-by, travelers through this world. His disciples asked him, "Who are you to say these things to us?" Jesus answered, "You fail to recognize who I am by what I say to you. You have become like those Jews who either love the tree and hate its fruit, or love the fruit and hate the tree." Jesus said, "Whoever speaks a word against the Father will be forgiven, and whoever speaks against the Son will also be forgiven. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will never be forgiven, neither in this world nor in the world to come." Jesus said, "Grapes are not gathered from thorn bushes, nor are figs collected from thistles, for such plants bear no fruit. A good man draws good things from the treasure stored within him, while an evil man brings forth what is evil from the storehouse of his heart. His words reveal what fills him, for it is out of the abundance of the heart that evil is spoken." Jesus said, "Among those born of women, from Adam to John the Baptist, there has arisen none greater than John. No one is so exalted that he should not lower his eyes before him. And yet I say to you, whoever among you becomes like a little child, pure and humble, will come to know the kingdom and will become greater than John." Jesus said, "No one is greater than John, but I tell you, whoever becomes like a child will be greater still." He also said, "It is impossible for a man to ride 2 horses at once or to string 2 bows at the same time. Likewise, a servant cannot serve 2 masters, for he will honor one and despise the other. No one, having tasted old wine, immediately desires the new, and new wine is not poured into old wineskins, lest they burst. Nor is old wine poured into new wineskins, or it will spoil the vessel. And no one sews an old patch onto a new garment, for it will tear away and worsen the damage." Jesus said, "If 2 people make peace with each other in one house, they can say to a mountain, 'Move away,' and it will obey." He said, "Blessed are the solitary and the chosen, for you have already found the kingdom. You came from it, and to it you will return." Jesus said, "If they ask you, 'Where have you come from?' say to them, 'We came from the light,' the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and revealed itself through its own image. And if they ask, 'Are you the light?' say, 'We are its children, the elect of the living Father.' And if they ask, 'What is the sign of your Father in you?' say to them, 'It is motion.'" Jesus added, "The sign of the Father within you is both motion and rest." His disciples then asked him, "When will the rest of the dead come to pass, and when will the new world arrive?" Jesus replied, "What you are waiting for has already come, but you do not recognize it." The disciples said to him, 24 prophets have spoken in Israel, and all of them spoke through you." He answered, "You have paid attention only to the dead and forgotten the one who is alive and standing in your presence." Then they asked him, "Is circumcision of any value or not?" Jesus said, "If it were truly beneficial, children would be born already circumcised. But the true circumcision, which is of the Spirit, has become entirely profitable." Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven." And he said, "Whoever does not hate his father and mother cannot become my disciple, and whoever does not hate his brothers and sisters and take up his cross and follow my path is not worthy of me." Jesus also said, "Whoever comes to understand the world has found it to be nothing more than a corpse. And whoever has discovered this corpse is greater than the world." Jesus said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a man who had good seed. But in the night, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat. When his servants asked to pull up the weeds, the man refused. He said, 'I am afraid you will uproot the wheat along with the weeds. Let them grow together. At the time of the harvest, the weeds will be clearly seen, and then they will be gathered, separated, and burned.'" Jesus said, "Blessed is the man who has suffered and yet found life." He also said, "Be mindful of the living one while you are alive, so that you do not seek him after death and find yourselves unable to see him." They saw a Samaritan man carrying a lamb on his way to Judea. Jesus said to his disciples, "That man is revolving around the lamb." They answered, "It is so he can kill it and eat it." Jesus replied, "While the lamb is alive, he will not eat it, only after he kills it and it becomes a corpse." The disciples said, "He cannot do otherwise." Jesus said to them, "You too must find a resting place for yourselves in life, before you become corpses and are consumed." Jesus said, "Two will rest on a bed." Jesus said, "Two will lie on a bed. One will die, and the other will live." Salome said to him, "Who are you, man, that you have climbed onto my couch and eaten from my table?" Jesus answered, "I am he who exists from the undivided. My Father has given me some of his own things. I am your disciple. Therefore I say to you, if one is whole, he will be filled with light, but if he is divided, he will be full of darkness." Jesus also said, "I reveal my mysteries only to those who are worthy of them. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." Jesus said, "There was a wealthy man who possessed great riches. He thought to himself, 'I will invest my money. I will sow, reap, plant, and fill my storehouses with harvest, so that I may lack nothing.' But that very night he died. Let the one who has ears hear." Jesus said, "A man once received guests. After preparing the meal, he sent his servant to invite them. The servant went to the first guest and said, 'My master invites you.' But the man replied, 'I am occupied with business. I have claims against some merchants.' The servant continued inviting the guests. He went to another and said, 'My master invites you.' The man replied, 'Some merchants are coming to see me this evening. I must meet with them and give instructions. Please excuse me from the dinner.' Then he went to a second man and said, 'My master invites you.' But he answered, 'I've just purchased a house, and I must attend to it today. I won't have any free time.' The servant went to a third and repeated the invitation. That man replied, 'My friend is getting married, and I must help prepare the banquet. I'm not able to come. Please excuse me.' He went to yet another, who said, 'I have just bought a farm, and I'm on my way to collect rent. I won't be able to attend. Please excuse me.' The servant returned to his master and said, 'All those whom you invited to the dinner have declined and asked to be excused.' The master said, 'Then go out into the streets and bring back whomever you find, so that my table may be filled.' Jesus said, 'Businessmen and merchants will not enter the places of my Father.' He also said, 'There was a good man who owned a vineyard. He leased it to tenant farmers, expecting them to cultivate it and share the harvest. When the time came, he sent his servant to collect the fruit from them. The owner expected a return from the tenants, so he sent his servant to receive the produce of the vineyard. But the tenants seized the servant, beat him, and nearly killed him. The servant returned and reported everything to his master. The master said, 'Perhaps they didn't recognize him,' and sent another servant. But the tenants beat him too. Then the master said, 'I will send my son. Surely they will respect him.' But the tenants, recognizing that he was the heir, seized him and killed him. Let the one who has ears to hear, listen." Jesus said, "Show me the stone which the builders rejected. This is the one that has become the cornerstone." Jesus also said, "If someone understands everything, yet still feels a personal lack, then that person is truly lacking. Blessed are you when others hate and persecute you. Wherever you have been mistreated, your persecutors will find no place of rest." Jesus said, "Blessed are those who have suffered within themselves, for they are the ones who have truly come to know the Father. Blessed are those who hunger, for the belly of the one who desires will be satisfied." Jesus said, "What you possess within yourselves will save you, if you bring it forth. But what you do not have within you will destroy you if you fail to find it." Jesus said, "What is not within you will destroy you. If you do not have it within yourself, it will become your undoing." He said, "I will tear down this house, and no one will be able to rebuild it." Then a man said to him, "Tell my brothers to share my father's inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me as a divider among you?" Then turning to his disciples, he said, "Am I a divider?" Jesus said, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send workers into the fields." He also said, "There are many who gather around the watering trough, but the cistern is dry." Jesus said, "Many are standing at the door, but only the solitary will enter the bridal chamber." He said, "The kingdom of the Father is like a merchant who had goods for trade. One day he discovered a single pearl of great value. The merchant was wise. He sold all his goods and bought the pearl for himself. You too must seek the treasure that does not fail, that endures, where neither moth consumes nor worm destroys. Jesus said, I am the light that is above all things. I am the all. Everything has come forth from me, and everything returns to me. Jesus said, split a piece of wood, and I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me beneath it. Jesus also said, why did you go out into the wilderness? To see a reed swaying in the wind? Or to see a man dressed in fine clothing? Your kings and great ones wear such garments, but they are blind to the truth. A woman from the crowd said to him, blessed is the womb that carried you and the breasts that nursed you. But Jesus answered, blessed rather are those who have heard the word of the Father and have truly kept it. For the days are coming when people will say, blessed is the womb that never conceived, and the breasts that never gave milk. Jesus said, whoever has come to recognize the world has discovered the body. But the one who has found the body is greater than the world. He also said, let the one who has become rich rule as king, and let the one who holds power give it up. Jesus said, whoever is near me is near the fire, but whoever is far from me is far from the kingdom. He said, the images are visible to people, but the light within them remains hidden. It is in the image of the Father's light that the true self will become visible, but only when. Jesus said, the image of a person may remain hidden because of the brightness of the light that surrounds it. When you see your reflection, you rejoice. But when you see the images that came into being before you, those that neither die nor appear, you will realize how much you must endure. Jesus said, Adam came into being through immense power and great wealth, yet he was not worthy of you. If he had been truly worthy, he would not have experienced death. He also said, the foxes have their dens, and the birds have their nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head and rest. Jesus said, cursed is the body that depends on another body, and cursed is the soul that depends on both. He said, the angels and the prophets will come to you and return to you what already belongs to you. And you, in turn, must give them what is yours. Then you will say in your hearts, when will they come to take what belongs to them? Jesus said, why do you only wash the outside of the cup? Do you not understand that the one who made the inside is the same who made the outside? He said, come to me, for my yoke is easy, and my rule is gentle. Jesus said, my rule is mild, and you will find rest for your souls. They said to him, tell us who you are so that we may believe in you. He answered, you study the face of the sky and of the earth, but you do not recognize the one who stands before you, and you do not know how to read this present moment. Jesus said, seek, and you will find. What you asked me about in earlier times I did not reveal to you then. But now I wish to tell you, yet you no longer ask. He also said, do not give what is holy to dogs, lest they throw it onto the dung heap. And do not cast pearls before swine, lest they trample them. Jesus said, whoever seeks will find, and to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. He said, if you have money, do not lend it with interest, but give it to someone from whom you expect no return. Jesus said, the kingdom of the Father is like a woman who took a small amount of leaven, hid it in dough, and it caused the dough to rise and become large loaves. Let the one who has ears hear. He also said, the kingdom of the Father is like a woman carrying a jar full of flour. While she was walking along the road, still far from her home, the handle of the jar broke, and the flour spilled out behind her along the path. But she did not realize it. She had noticed no accident along the way, but when she arrived at her home and set the jar down, she discovered it was empty. Jesus said, the kingdom of the Father is like a man who intended to kill a powerful opponent while still inside his house. First, he drew his sword and struck it into the wall to test whether his hand was strong enough. Once he knew, he killed the powerful man. The disciples came to him and said, your mother and your brothers are standing outside. But Jesus replied, those who are here with me, doing the will of my Father, these are my brothers and my mother. They are the ones who will enter the kingdom of my Father. They showed Jesus a gold coin and said, Caesar's officials demand taxes from us. He answered, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, give to God what is God's, and give to me what is mine. Jesus said, Whoever does not hate his father and mother as I do cannot become my disciple. And whoever does not love his father and mother as I do cannot become my disciple. My earthly mother gave me a body, but my true mother gave me life." Jesus said, "Woe to the Pharisees! They are like a dog lying in the manger of the oxen. The dog does not eat, and yet he prevents the oxen from eating as well." Jesus said, "Fortunate is the man who knows where the thieves will break in, so he can rise, gather his household, and prepare himself before they invade." They said to Jesus, "Come, let us fast and pray today." But Jesus replied, "What sin have I committed? In what way have I been defeated? But when the bridegroom leaves the bridal chamber, then let them fast and pray." Jesus said, "Whoever comes to know both the father and the mother will be called the child of a harlot." He also said, "When you make the two into one, you will become sons of man. And when you say to the mountain, 'Move away,' it will move." Jesus said, "The kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 and searched until he found that one. After much effort, he said to the sheep, 'I love you more than the 99. Jesus said, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become as I am, and I myself will become that person. What is hidden will be revealed to him." Jesus said, "The kingdom is like a man who had hidden a treasure in his field but did not know it. After he died." Jesus said, "Fortunate is the man who knows where the thieves will break in, so he can rise, gather his household, and prepare himself before they invade." They said to Jesus, "Come, let us fast and pray today." But Jesus replied, "What sin have I committed? In what way have I been defeated? But when the bridegroom leaves the bridal chamber, then let them fast and pray." Jesus said, "Whoever comes to know both the father and the mother will be called the child of a harlot." He also said, "When you make the two into one, you will become sons of man. And when you say to the mountain, 'Move away,' it will move." Jesus said, "The kingdom is like a shepherd who had 100 sheep. One of them, the largest, went astray. He left the 99 and searched until he found that one. After much effort, he said to the sheep, 'I love you more than the 99. Jesus said, "Whoever drinks from my mouth will become as I am, and I myself will become that person. What is hidden will be revealed to him." Jesus said, "The kingdom is like a man who had hidden a treasure in his field but did not know it. After he died." I want to apologize in advance for any mistakes in the text or voiceover. I'm still learning, and the language used on this channel is not my native one. The voiceover is generated with the help of artificial intelligence. Please feel free to point out any errors so I can correct them and improve the quality of the content. I'd also love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Your support and comments truly motivate me to keep searching for meaningful and inspiring stories. Thank you so much for your understanding and for being part of this journey. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any new stories.